It's Fans Corner. Welcome to it, and thank you so much for making time for us. It's been a while since we've done this. Actually, we are now focusing on the FIFA Club World Cup taking place out in America, the United States of America, and we've just watched a game between Mamelodi Sundowns and Borussia Dortmund out at the TQL Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Americans call it Cincinnati, but yeah, we are South Africans. Cincinnati, Ohio. That's where that game took place, and it's a game that we've been looking forward to actually ever since we found out where the group where Sundowns will find themselves in. It's Borussia Dortmund, I think, was the standout team that we're looking forward to seeing, and to see how Sundowns will fare against that team. But I actually had a wish and a hope that Sundowns could get a result out of this, if not a win, at least a draw, because I felt it was possible. And after watching the game, I think all of us can agree that it was more than possible. There were a few mistakes from the Sundowns side that led to their demise in this game, but it was an entertaining game. Let's take nothing away from that. What an entertaining game of football that was. I think in the first 10-15 minutes, I felt, I was convinced Sundowns were going to pull it through. When they scored the goal, I felt they were going to be able to defend it. And I think that to a certain extent, they had a chance to bury the game before Borussia Dortmund actually got the equalizing goal, which was a gift from Ronwen Williams. I don't know. I mean, it's unlike Williams to give away such an opportunity against a very potent team such as Borussia Dortmund. But I felt when you watched the game, you felt like there was only one team. The first 10-15 minutes, there was just one team. It was just Mamelodi Sundowns. You kind of felt like you were watching Sundowns playing in the PSL or in some of the games in CAF, because they were pretty much dominant from the very beginning of the game. And most of us, I mean, you can't blame us for putting our hopes high that they could pull it through. Lucas Ribeiro, man, what a performance from him! I think having watched the game, I think Sundowns have to be proud of themselves, even though they have to take a loss like the champions that they are, but they also have to be proud of themselves. There's a lot of positive that came from that loss. Just a couple of mistakes that cost them the game. I think having had so much possession of the game, that's one thing I did not expect. We know Sundowns are a possession team. They keep possession of the ball, but you felt like they were going to be playing against one of the very strong European teams in Borussia Dortmund, a very big team in Germany. You felt they might not be able to control the game the way they usually do. You have to give them credit for being able to do that, to dominate the game, control the game, dictate the tempo of the game for most part of the game. I think the other thing that really they did so well, especially in the first half, those first 10-15 minutes, is that they kind of forgot who they were playing against. They just went there and thought said we are Mamelodi Sundowns. We are going to play the Sundowns way, no matter who we play against, and that's what they did. The only thing that they did not do enough is to go forward the way they usually do. There were some besting on the left hand side from Matthews. The right hand side was not as vibrant as the left hand side was, but over time it kind of faded away. I feel like they could have done a little bit more in terms of those the besting of the runs from the left. They should have done it on the right as well, and they should have done it a little bit more. They did a lot of sideways playing, so sideways passes, and a lot of backwards passes, which were unnecessary sometimes. I think sometimes they had a chance. When they had the ball, they could have actually done that. I felt that maybe that's where they kind of respected the Borussia Dortmund. Otherwise, they went there and said, we are Mamelodi Sundowns, we're going to impose our game on Dortmund. And Dortmund absorbed the game, the pressure for as much as they could, until they had that a gift of a goal gifted to them, and they took their chance and never looked back. But Dortmund on the other side, I think, like I said, Sundowns went there without the respect that we thought they would probably show to Dortmund. But Dortmund went there. You look at Dortmund and you felt like they didn't know who they were playing against. I think they went there with the hope that we're going to be playing against one of those African teams. They are lower than us in terms of standard and levels. We're probably going to get our way. I think that's what they kind of did not know what hit them for most of the first 10 to 15 minutes. They had to adapt because they were all over the place, not knowing what's happening in the game until that they got the equalizer, and then they were able to breathe and say, okay, let's try to play football. Because towards the end of the game, of the first half, they were now looking like the Borussia Dortmund that we know, imposing themselves on Sundowns, spending more time on the Sundowns half. The ball spent more time on the Sundowns half anyway, even when it was with the Mamelodi Sundowns team. But they were not, I think they did not make most of the ball when they had it, and they had it for most of the game. Coming into the second half, they did the same thing. I think now Sundowns realized we had nothing to lose. Let's go out there and do this thing. Just a few mistakes. I mean, there was an own goal out there. Sundowns trying to defend, and there was an own goal. I feel this is a game where the scoreline does not really tell the real story. The best team did not win the game because I feel Sundowns were the better team. They were much better than Borussia Dortmund in so many ways. I think one of the reasons why you saw so many mistakes from the Mamelodi Sundowns side is because Sundowns are not used to being attacked like that. You know, they were now playing a team that when they have the ball, they will want to go forward and try to attack them. Sundowns are not used to that. They're used to teams that really want to defend, absorb the and then try to go for a counter attack. Those are most of the teams when they play Sundowns. That's what they did. That Dortmund kind of did that in the first half because they had no idea what was happening. Sundowns were drawing circles all over them in the first 15-20 minutes of the game, and then they had to come back after scoring that goal. It's only then they kind of gained confidence, Dortmund, and they were able to play. Otherwise, I think Sundowns could have actually used their position a little bit better than they did. They did not show respect to Dortmund, but they just held on to the ball for the sake of holding on to the ball at times, and I felt that there were quite a number of chances that they could have created. They were the better team anyway at the end of the day. I think now many of these other teams will probably look at this and take note of this Mamelodi Sundowns, because I think even from the loss, having lost this game, they still stand a chance of getting out of this group. They are going to be playing against the Brazilian Fluminense. I think depending on what happens between that team, between Fluminense and in their next game, what could happen on Wednesday will depend on where Sundowns find themselves. Because right now they're number 2 on the log on their table. So if Fluminense win their game, it will also depend on how they win their game, the score from their game. Actually, if they win their game, they'll have a positive goal difference. Sundowns are now sitting at a 0 goal difference because they scored 4 and also conceded 4. So Fluminense have not conceded a goal. If they win, because I don't see the what's the name of that other team? I forgot the other team, but I don't see Fluminense losing this game. But we can pray for a draw, because if a draw, that puts Sundowns in a good position, that even a draw for them on Wednesday could also put them through to the last 16. But I feel like Fluminense will win that game. And Sundowns will have to go and win that game, because if Fluminense win the game, then Sundowns will be number 3, and going into the last game of the group, Sundowns will have to definitely win, because even a draw might not be enough, because by then Dortmund will be at 4 points, Fluminense will also be on 4 points. So I think it's going to be a difficult position. We can only hope that they can pull it through. But I think this game showed us where Sundowns are in terms of the quality and level of football that they play. It showed us that they can compete against any team. Of course, it's a different competition this time around. For most of the players, this is a new territory. They had to find their feet quick and hit the ground running. But it shows you where they are in terms of they are not too far from some of the best teams in the world. They can compete against any. I don't think they can be. Sundowns are not the kind of team that you can brush aside easily like that. Even if you score many goals against them, they'll also score against you. We saw that happening tonight. They were unlucky, to be honest. They were absolutely unlucky. They were with the goals that they conceded. 3 of those goals were pretty much soft goals, which under normal circumstances Sundowns would not concede those goals. And that's where we are now. I really was hoping that they were going to win or at least get a draw, but it wasn't to be. It's still not over yet. I think they have a chance. I truly believe that they have a chance to compete, to also make it into the last 16. Otherwise, this has been Fans Corner. Thank you so much for your time. We meet again in the next one.